Welcome to the Weekly Leader with your host, David Guerra.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of the Weekly Leader. I'm your host, David Guerra, author of The Walking Leader. Thank you for joining me again this week. And you know what we do this week and every week? That's right, we take one current event, we rip that apart, put the leadership spin on it, and then we take another leadership concept, rip that apart, and we put a leadership spin on it. So without delay, this week, what are we talking about? Well, this week we're talking about, the panic at the wine market, at the wine cellar. What's going on? Here's the deal. Recent news article came out, and the link is on the show notes. And it talks about how in France, many of the wine growing regions have been severely affected by weather. And case in point, a recent frost. And this frost affected something like 20 to 25 of the 30 regions, and it's going to affect wine production. Now, if you like ice wine, well, you're on the verge, but no, this didn't work out that way. So what does this mean? What does this weather event anomaly mean to French wine? It means that there's going to be less of it. And you know what happens when there's less? There's a demand. The demand goes up when the supply is down. It's just life. That's just supply and demand. That's what it's all about. And so when the prices go up, what happens, right? People start like, well, where else can I find a cheaper wine? Well, at that point, then demand increases, demand shifts because supply is low in France or from France. Now the demand increases. Let's try some new wines. Let's try some cheaper wines. And guess what's going to happen there too, folks? That's right. Supply and demand. So because the supply is down over here, it's going to mean increasing the demand over here on the other part of the world, all the other wines, Chilean wines, California wines, Texas wines even. Everybody. German wines. Yeah. Every wine. Wherever there's a wine, it's going to go up in price because, again, demand now has shifted. So remember, when it comes to supply and demand, just because there is more of a demand and less of a supply, that's not necessarily a good thing, because at some point, in your case, someone is going to shift and move over and say, hey, where else can I find it cheaper? But again, cheaper is not necessarily better, and sometimes it's a good opportunity to find the competition. It's an opportunity to find someone else that can do what you were supplying, but now you can no longer supply. What your organization was supplying can no longer be applied. It now is found, or can no longer applies. It's now found someplace else. So folks, remember, the law of supply and demand really does affect leadership in the sense that if you're going to be raising your prices, you better be sure you're also offsetting with something to deliver. Now, I'm not saying increase the workload of those that are behind, that are there, but ensure that whatever they're delivering is quality and improved quality, even because you are raising those prices, because you are increasing the price of the supply right now. So if I got you a little confused there, don't be. All I'm saying is make it worth their while. If you're raising prices for a reason, make it worth the customer's while, and also make it worth the employees, your team, your organization. Make sure that they're aware that, hey, look, we're going to be raising prices, but in doing so, we're going to increase the quality, not necessarily the quantity, because again, supply is down, demand is up. It's the quality of the supply that we are dealing with. And leaders, if you can't deal with that, then you really don't understand how business works. Sure, some of you might think you know how business works, but you don't. Especially when you're just going to raise the prices for the sake of raising prices and give the customer nothing else. Again, it all works together. And again, once the supply goes up, the demand will come down. But the price, well, it could stay the same. It could go down. But the quality you're delivering, don't just take it away now because you lowered prices. Sustain, maintain, and continue to create new customers and keep the current members of your team happy because they're engaged, they're involved, and they're delivering just a little bit more. Okay, now let's get down to this week's leadership concept. This week's leadership concept is all about trust and verifying. Trust and verifying. It's been kind of something that's been working with, and then something recently came to my attention, and boom, it hit it. It hit the nail right on the head, and it's like, okay, I get it. Trust what you're hearing, trust what's being told to you, trust what's being fed to you from those trusted sources, those reliable sources. But you know what? It doesn't hurt to verify sometimes. Just because they're trusted sources, you don't know what's behind what they're telling you. You don't know what's behind their motivation. What is their motivation to tell you what it is, especially if it's something negative about somebody else? So always trust, but verify. Trust and verify. It really will go a long way. That way you understand, are they telling me the truth? Are they telling me a half-truth? Or are they telling me a complete, blatant lie? And again, and it's real simple to deal with. Let's give you a hypothetical situation. Person A is talking bad about person B. And you're person C, you're in the middle, right? So they're talking about person B, and it's a negative comment. And your interaction, person C, your interaction with person B has been very limited. And sometimes maybe you don't know everything because you don't know them well enough. But guess what? Because person A is trusted and is the only one speaking, is the only one saying, you're going to listen and it's going to believe that it's 100% true. It doesn't work that way. Verify. And if you know what? If you're quick to believe things, guess what? Guess what? That's right. You're going to fall for whatever lie comes out of their mouth. You're going to fall for whatever lie is being told to you. You're going to fall for just about anything. And folks, falling for just about anything is not a good way to be in life. That's not a good leadership concept, because again, if you're just listening to the negative and never going over to verify. See, in this case, let's just say this person, random person A, his name is Bobby Pierce. And he tells me things, and that Bobby Pierce tells me things that Bobby Pierce has done with person B. Well, okay. And person B was a willful participant in things that person A, Bobby Pierce, has done. Well, you know what? I know enough. I know better to know that there are two sides to every story. I also know that, I need to ask the other person how much of that is true. How much of what Bobby Pierce is telling me is true. Now, again, Bobby Pierce is a hypothetical person, but how much is what Bobby Pierce is telling me about person B is true? It's telling me what person A and person B have done together without the knowledge of person D, E, F, G, and H. Again, I am smart enough to know that, hey, there are two sides to every story, and what's behind Bobby Pierce's motivation? I don't know. I don't care, because again, I'm smart enough to know that I don't need to listen to person A in this case to understand person B, because sometimes I have to go to person B to verify, hey, look, here's what person A is saying. Here's what Bobby Pierce has said he's done with you and you've done with him. And is this true or not? But hey, then I can form my own judgments. But there are too many gullible people in the world that will just listen to Bobby Pierce and not listen to person B. Right? So again, be careful here. Because again, there's two sides to every story. Technically, there's three sides. There's person A side, there's person B side, and then there's the truth. And folks, trust but verify, please. It'll save a lot of heartache. It'll save a lot of trouble. And most of all, it'll save you from looking like a gullible fool. It's just that simple. So trust but verify. Hey, listen, I want to thank you for stopping by. I want to thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. I thank you for following along. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And hey, stop being the Bobby Pierces of the world, too. And I'm Dave Guerra, and I approve this message.